Welcome back to Coast Sports. It's Super Bowl weekend. We're almost here. Games, if you can see behind me, we got 2 days till the big game. We got the Kansas City Chiefs going for the repeat against Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I got my Rams jersey on because it's the only one I had here out in California, but I think this is going to be a great game. I think we got a lot of different storylines to follow. You can check back to last week's episode where we went over some of the big storylines that are going to be going on. But there's going to be a lot of interesting things to watch, and I think we need to definitely talk about those. I'm going to give you my picks at the end of the show, and I'm also going to do a very special top 5, considering a lot of people will be having their big Super Bowl parties, getting together, hopefully staying safe because of COVID. But going back to some of the things we need to watch for, we haven't really seen the Super Bowl hangover really kick in for the Kansas City Chiefs yet. And I don't know whether it be because they're just that good, or whether it be because it's due and it's going to come in this matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, the Chiefs have been flawless throughout these playoffs. They've been a little sloppy at the end of the regular season, but definitely nothing to worry about. I think they still played completely solid. They went 14-2 and lost the last game of the season with Patrick Mahomes out. So they could have easily went 15-1, maybe even 16-0 if they hadn't lost to a division rival. But you could say the same thing about last year as well. And when come Super Bowl time, Patrick Mahomes really didn't play his best game against the 49ers. When you think about it, he had 2 interceptions. They only had 10 points through the first 3 quarters. He didn't really kick it into high gear until that fourth quarter. And it really fell on the San Francisco 49ers to not really defend him that well. But then there was that missed holding call on Nick Bosa that could have made an impact in the game. But if that doesn't really scare you enough in terms of the fact that the Super Bowl hangover can kick in and Mahomes' last performance in the Super Bowl, what about the fact that there's a big COVID scare going on in the organization after Daniel Kilgore reported that the team's barber was diagnosed with COVID midway through his haircut, and now he's got half a shaved head and the other half's got hair. But a bunch of key players are on that now list that were linked to the team barber getting COVID. Mahomes is one of those guys, but I think he's tested negative. He'll be playing. Another guy to watch out for is wide receiver Demarcus Robinson as well as Kilgore, 2 big pieces of the offense. And if you're still not certain that you think Patrick Mahomes has this in the bag, it's going to be his second Super Bowl, he's going to repeat, the Chiefs are going to go 2 for 2. Let's think about the last time somebody repeated. And I think I said this early on in the year that the last guy to repeat in the Super Bowl is Tom Brady. So that was in 2006 and 2007. That was a long time ago, and now there's a completely different league, and he's going up against the guy that's really been the king of a Super Bowl in recent memory. And speaking of that, we talked about it last week. Tom Brady's been to 10 Super Bowls. This is going to be his 10th. He's won 6 of them already, going for 7. Which Tom Brady will we see? Because we've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly from Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. We've seen him break his own records for passing yards in a game year after year. We've seen him lead an amazing comeback against the Atlanta Falcons that we didn't even think was possible until he did it. So we've seen all this, but then we've also seen what he did against the Rams, where the team was it was a sloppy game altogether. He only put up 13 points. We've seen him in last year's playoffs where he couldn't even beat the Titans in the wild card game. But I said from the start of this whole thing that Tom Brady in the playoffs is something to watch out for. And although the haters are going to want Mahomes to win, they're going to want to see Brady lose, they're going to want to see him retire and only have 6 rings to show for it, I think a majority of fans like myself, we want to see Tom Brady go off into the sunset with a Super Bowl win. It will be great for his legacy, and I mean, I already think he's the greatest of all time. This is just going to really put the nail in the coffin to that argument. And speaking of the fans, though, there's going to be 25,000 allowed into the Super Bowl. Not what you'd expect to see in a championship caliber game, but this is really a home Super Bowl for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're going to be the first team ever to play the Super Bowl in their home stadium. And that's going to be big because Patrick Mahomes really has never played a road game in the playoffs. And the past 2 years, it's been home field advantage all the way through. And then you come down to the Super Bowl, and then that's a neutral site game. But this year, it's actually an away game. And we've seen what Tom Brady can do when he's got home field advantage in the playoffs. This is going to be the Buccaneers' first home game of this 2021 playoff, and it's going to be the Chiefs' first away game in the past 2 years besides the Super Bowl. So out of those 25,000 fans, I'm sure a bunch of Buccaneers fans already bought the tickets a year in advance, regardless of whether or not their team was going to play in it. I'm sure there's now a lot of guys that did buy tickets when they expanded it from 22,500 to 25,000 fans. I think they've started to buy their tickets. There's going to be a lot of players and fans out there that want to see Tom Brady win. You're going to get your Chiefs fans regardless, but when it really comes down to it, you're going to have a lot more Buccaneers fans. You're going to have a lot more Brady fans. You're going to have a lot more guys cheering on Tom Brady and wanting Mahomes to lose. Now, I wanted to get into a really fun top 5 list just because it's Super Bowl Sunday. We're going to have a lot of fun. I got a lot of guys in my house that are really ready to watch the game. I know back home, my brother's doing some stuff. My parents are going one place. I'm sure everyone in the nation is going to got their eyes glued to this game because there's not going to be enough people in the stands to really witness it there. And with that, you're always going to have your Super Bowl parties. Now, this year might be a little weird. There's going to be a lot of COVID going on. Not many people are going to get together, but I'm sure everyone's going to get down to it, have a great time. And my favorite part about the Super Bowl, besides the game, besides the commercials, is the food. So for my top 5 list today, I'm going to rank the top 5 Super Bowl party foods. So coming in at number 5, we have the classic sub sandwiches. Now, this one's usually a hit or miss for me. When I think about a sub sandwich, I think I like going to Subway, customizing it myself. I do enjoy a good sandwich, I have to say. I've been known to be the sandwich destroyer, as some people call it, because I eat them so quickly. But my one knock on them is sometimes you get stuff you don't like. Sometimes you don't want the tomato. Sometimes you don't want the lettuce or the onions or whatever else they put on it. And you just got to make a mess in your plate, kind of taking them apart, putting the meat back on the bun. It's a whole mess, but subs come in at number 5. They're still good. They're still a staple. They can feed the entire house if it really comes down to it. But coming in at number 4, this might be very controversial considering I'm Italian, I'm from New York, but pizza actually comes in at number 4 for me because it depends on where you are. Like if we were back in New York, pizza would be 1 or 2, it would be interchangeable. But, we got places like California, not to knock on them or anything, but I don't think their pizza's that great. I don't think Florida pizza's that great. So all the Tampa Bay Bucks fans, I'd stay away from the pizza at the party. But anyway, you always got to have a pizza there. There's going to be people that love to eat it. The kids love it. The adults love it. You might get some pepperoni. You might get some other toppings on it. Pizza's definitely a way to go, but it comes in at number 4 just because of the location. Number 3, I got to go with nachos. And I'm not the biggest nacho fan myself, but if you make a great tray of nachos, you're going to have a great time. Let me tell you, you could put anything that you want on it. You definitely got to have the cheese. You could go with the guac, the sour cream, the salsa. Sometimes you got the jalapenos if you're into some spicy stuff. But you got the nice chips, you got the cheese, you got the toppings, you got the meats sometime. And it's just a customizable dish. And the reason I rank them at number 3 is because I had to group just the classic chips and dip into this category. You could go with just a classic like onion dip, or like you might get a little bit fancy, do a buffalo chicken dip or a spinach and artichoke dip. Come fourth quarter when everyone puts the food away, you might just want to snack on some chips, so you might catch me in the fourth quarter when the game comes down to it, feet up on the desk, on the couch, and then you got like, a nice big bowl of chips with a dip next to it. It's honestly my favorite part of the Super Bowl was when you're just munching down on the chips. But coming in at number 4, and this is where you get into the main course of the barbecue. You got your hot dogs, you got your hamburgers, you got your pulled pork, you got your sliders, you got everything. You got whatever you want. Maybe you might be a little fancy and make some steaks. That would be pretty interesting. But barbecue, always a top choice for me. I'm going to put it at number 2 because at number 1, you got the good old wings. And that's all you got to really say about it. I mean, you could go barbecue, you could go teriyaki, you could go hot sauce, anything you want. You might mix them all together. You got your dips, you got your ranch, your blue cheese, you got your celery, your carrots, all that. You just put it all on a plate, get your hands a little messy, and you're having a great meal. It's Super Bowl, you're enjoying it with your buddies. Who doesn't love some good wings? So that's what I'm going to go with. Wings are my number 1 Super Bowl food. You could always honorable mention the desserts if you're a big party house and everyone just brings up whatever food they got. And like I said, chips and dip are kind of my sleeper pick. But anyway, now I think it's time to really get into who are we taking in this game? And what are we taking in this game? What bets are we going with? It's the Super Bowl. You might have to throw some money down if it comes down to it. But there are some pretty interesting bets that I think are going to be locks. And I'll start with the over-under. It's set at 56 right now, but I think that's going to be way over. And for 2 reasons. One, anytime I've seen Mahomes or said that he has to get this certain amount of points, like maybe he needs 30 points and I think the over is going to hit completely. Every time he does that, they end up scoring 40. They need 25, they score 30. They score, I don't know, maybe for some reason they have the over-under at a solid 40 and all that you really need the Chiefs to do is score 20 points. They're going to score 40 points and get the over-under on their own. But Tampa Bay, on the other hand, if you're worried about them pulling their weight, don't be. They scored 30 points in all of their playoff games so far. They're averaging more points, actually, than the Chiefs by like half a point, but they're both right around 30, so I could see this game where both teams score 30 points, both teams maybe even get past like that 35 range, and I don't think the over-under is going to have to be something to worry about. The spread, on the other hand, I really stay away from because I really do think this game can go either way. I think Kansas City's got a fantastic argument on how they can win the game, how they could turn this into a blowout, how they could just keep scoring and wait for Tom Brady to slip up, and then they got this game under control the whole way, and they'll never look back. You can also make the argument that Tampa Bay's going to win this game. On the arm of Brady, he's going to win his 7th Super Bowl. So I think with the spread at +3, I'd rather just pick the money line. And when it comes down to that, I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. Yeah, I'm saying it now. I'll write it down again, show it up on the screen. But Tampa Bay is going to win this game. Tom Brady wins MVP and get his 7th Super Bowl ring. Final score, I'm going to have to mark it down 38-31. Tampa Bay is going to win. 38-31. We'll mark it down. Like I said, if you're going to bet on the Super Bowl MVP, give it to Tom Brady. If the Chiefs win the game, it's going to the Mahomes. That's an easy choice right there. And the one you've all been waiting for is what color Gatorade is the head coach going to get showered in? So I'll read out some of the options right now. I'll put them up on the screen. Got orange as a heavy favorite at +125. Red at +200. And then you can read down the rest of the list. Last year it was orange, so if you're going to see a repeat with the Chiefs, I mean, you might have to go with the orange. But I'm going to be bold here. And I'm going to lock in the yellow, green, or lime Gatorade at +300. I really wanted to go blue, but I think it's yellow's year. Blue was 2 years ago. We saw red go a few years back as well. I think it's green's time. Give me the green Gatorade. That's how we're gonna. I think I actually might have some green Gatorade. I'll go get some. Yeah. So I got 2 different Gatorades here. This one's like a darker green, if you can see it. I don't really know. We got that one. And then I do have a blue Gatorade as well. So I think if I'm right, if it's green, and I'll give myself a shot with blue too. But if we got green or blue Gatorade, I will have someone dump Gatorade on me on Tuesday's show. I will buy a bottle of green Gatorade, and they will dump it on me for the show. So maybe if you want to see that, hope it's red Gatorade, or hope it's green Gatorade. Root for that. I'll have to go against it now just because I don't want to get soaked. But that's going to do it for me in today's show. Once again, I'm Michael Fiumefreddo. Happy Super Bowl, everyone. You're watching Coast to Coast Sports, the only show for the fans, by the fans. We'll see you after the game.